Hello everybody, Father Rich here with the 10, I said 10 greatest double albums of all time. Now there may be some I don't own. I'm just going to pretend like they don't exist, so on with the show. We don't want no extended intros, on this channel. Coliseum Live, my number 10. I saw this band 4 times in 71 when I went to England. I was there for like 7 weeks. I spent most of the time with my cousin Mark. And we saw this band. Once was at the Wheelie Festival. And 3 times we saw them in London. But yeah, this is a fantastic, man. This is one of the bands when I came back to Bakersfield and I turned my friends onto this band. Oh, dude, you got to hear this. It was this and Roy Gallagher was another one. But anyways, they're not progressive out there. They do jam. They have blues undercurrents, some jazz undercurrents with the sax playing of this guy. I mean, he would have a soprano and a tenor sax and playing both. I know there's some jazz guy that does that. Oh, and this one has a timing strip. But yeah, this is a great album, man. Really, an album of its time, I would say. And it's a band that a lot of Americans are unaware of. That's my number 10. Number 9, we got Bob Dylan Live 1966. Now, I know what you're saying. Hey, this is a box set. You said double albums. Well, you open up this album, and this to show how ridiculous. Look at, I don't know if you can see all that empty space, but you got this giant box for one disc, the acoustic, and then you got the electric disc, and then you got this little book. Now, it's a little more than the size of a double album, In fact, I store this other box set of Bob Dylan inside that one, for storage space reasons. But yeah, it's a good album. I like the acoustic set better than the electric set, which is kind of surprising. His electric stuff is my favorite. So that's number 9. Number 8, I'm going to go with Lou Reed Live, Take No Prisoners, his punk rock comedy album. I really enjoy this album. Now, I have several Lou Reed live albums, especially from the 70s. I think I have 4. But I believe the other 3 are bootlegs, and I didn't want to include bootlegs. If I would have been including bootlegs, I would have included this Cramps one, live at Clutch Cargos in Detroit, 1982. A great set with Kid Congo Powers. But anyways, back to this. This is, actually, all my Lou Reed albums that I have from the 70s, they're all different than the others. They're all different. In fact, I have one live at the Roxy, and Don Cherry's on it. But anyways, this is a really good listen. He seems kind of agitated. But yeah, I enjoy it. Is it his best? Probably not, but. Number 7, I'm going to go with this Record Store Day release. Buffalo Springfield and the Byrds live at the Monterey International Pop Festival. I really dig this album. I really dig the Byrd set. They sound very garagey. It's very kind of chaotic. David Crosby kind of talks a lot. But the Buffalo Springfield set is also very good. Probably a little more together. And David Crosby played with them. And I think this was like the last days of David Crosby being in the Byrds. But yeah, this is very good. That's number 7. Number 6, I'm going to go with something a little different. We got Revolution of the Mind. This is James Brown. It's recorded live at the Apollo, Volume 3. This is more of his funky stage, which is my favorite era of James Brown. And yeah, this is a really funky good time. I mean, it's got his hits, you know, Sex Machine, Escapism, Make It Funky, Hot Pants. Really good stuff. Okay, now we're top 5. And I'm going to go with the first David Bowie album that I ever heard. And I really love this album, man. It's David Live. 70 what? Whatever. It starts out with, side 2 starts out with Changes. And it's very different than the album studio version. But I don't like it as much, but it's a good take. And overall, I really dig this, man. I think it's a great album. In fact, I think it's the 5th best double album ever. Number 4, we got Miles Davis, Big Fun. I have several Miles Davis double live albums, as a matter of fact. This is probably my favorite. This is kind of like the On the Corner era. And also another one with a timing strip. And it's got that On the Corner artwork. Very cool picture of Miles on the inside. But yeah, this is really, really cool, man. It's got Go Ahead John on side 3. Man, John McLaughlin goes nuts on that. And it's a 28-minute song. Side 1 is Great Expectations. It's fantastic. It's a 27-minute. Shit. Side 2 is Ify or whatever. It's a 21-minute. And side 4 is Lonely Fire, another 21-minute song. Fantastic. I dig this album. And now we're down to the top 3. And I'm going to go with this one, Curtis Live. This is a recent pickup for me. But back in the day, this was the first Curtis Mayfield album I ever bought. And I bought it because it was a double album for the price of a single, you know. It's like, oh yeah, okay, you know, that's the way, you know, kids think. You have limited funds. But man, I'm glad I got it. I dig this album. In fact, I kind of dig the songs on here better than the versions off his first 2 solo albums. They're simpler, they're stark. Some of his stuff on the solo albums, man, they got strings and harps and horn. It's overproduced for me. It's just over the top, I guess. This is simple and it's fantastic. At number 2, this is what a lot of people would pick as their number 1. And this is the Allman Brothers live at the Fillmore East. This is an album. Out of all of these, this is probably the one I've listened to the most. Maybe the next one, but I think it's this one because I had burned this and I listened to it on headphones when I was working at Miller Brewing Company. Before I became a brewer there, I worked in the warehouse and the production lines. But in the warehouse, you pulled the pallets of beer off of the lines and you put them, where they belonged in the warehouse or straight onto a truck. And nobody gives a shit about any of that. But I had burned this and I listened to this a lot, driving around on the forklift. You weren't supposed to have headphones on, but it was a big warehouse. And if you saw a supervisor anywhere, you just make a right turn, It was, and it made the night go by like that, dude. Anyways, this is a great album. I don't own any Allman Brothers after this. I have their first 2 studio albums and I have this one. The one with Rambling Man, I like it. It's a way more commercial than the other stuff. And I felt that even back then. And I don't know, I just stuck with the first 3. And the number 1 is the Ramones, It's Alive. This is just fantastic. It is hard hitting. It's a great introduction to the Ramones. Anybody that I've heard a lot of people in the VC say that, no, the Ramones, they're not really punk. They're kind of poppy. Listen to this album and you'll see what the whole fuss was all about. What started it all. I mean, Patti Smith and these guys came out of that CBGB's, that New York scene. Patti Smith had an album before these guys. But these guys were kind of like what made punk rock blow up. I mean, Greg Ginn from Black Flag even said it, you know? And that's my top 10. Now, addressing some of the, vacancies or, ones that are left off. Grateful Dead, they have some good double live albums. The Skull and Bones one from the Fillmore 1969 is an example. But I have this box set. Now that double album is from, I believe, February 27th, February 28th, and March 1st of 1969. I have the 28th one. I know some people, they feel like they have to have everything and they have them all, but I don't know. One's enough. Although I do have several other Grateful Dead box sets. Another one. Now I'm gonna go into some. Okay, Little Feat, that Columbus Discovered America album. That's a good album, but I prefer the studio albums. I'm gonna do some honorable mentions now, real quick. We got Herbie Hancock, something about the flood. But anyways, this was a Japan-only release at the time. It's okay. It's not near as good as his studio albums. This one's pretty cool. Traffic on the Road. It's a double album. 70s Traffic. Grand Funk Live. Now, I initially had this in my top 10. And then I listened to it. The audience screaming is mixed way too loud in parts. And just the overall sound of it, I don't know, it's not as good as the 10 I picked. Now, I picked that David Live, but I do have like this David Bowie Live at the Santa Monica Civic 1972 is a good album. This Cracked Actor, people say this is a better album than the David Live. It's from the same tour. But I don't know, man. The David Live's the one I heard first, so I decided to show that one. And this is a great one, too. Live Nassau Coliseum, 76, David Bowie. This is the tour. The first time I saw David Bowie was on this tour. Now, I do have other... I picked Big Fun for Miles Davis, but I do have some other double albums of him. This is at the Fillmore. I really enjoy this album. It's very chaotic, though, and I'm not always in the mood for it. This one here is also a good one. Live Evil, Miles Davis Live. That Eroto guy or whatever that, I can't remember his name. He was a percussion guy. He's mic'd a little too high. And it's almost, he has this, I don't know if it's the electric jug like the 13th floor elevators or what, but man, it is mic'd. It's kind of off-putting. And then this one here is a great one. I almost picked this one, but I had to go with my Big Fun. And this is Agharta. Savage Republic. I almost put this as my number 10. But upon listening to it, it's enjoyable. I don't think it's as good as their studio albums, though. And so I did not include it. And then I got Nod Live at Roadburn 2022. This is a relatively new addition to my collection. So I'm not that familiar with it. But man, this thing kicks ass. It's like in your face. So maybe later this one could crack the top 10. But anyways, it doesn't really matter, does it? We're just doing this for fun. Take care, everybody. Cool. Dodgers.